Hey there, dear members of the Soul Stories family. Today we bring you a heartfelt romantic tale. So sit back and enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss out on these meaningful stories. Let's dive right in. Aubrey Carter stepped out of the bookstore, holding a paper bag filled with picture books she had just picked out for her classroom. At 29, she still had the gentle, calming aura of a primary school teacher. Her soft brown hair was tied into a loose bun, and her warm eyes, though kind, carried a quiet sadness. Dressed in a beige sweater and a pale green scarf, she blended easily into the crowd, but her keen gaze noticed everything. People rushed by, but a still figure near an ice cream cart caught her attention. A small boy, maybe 5, stood alone beside the cart, bundled in a dark green jacket and a woolen hat that covered most of his head. His big brown eyes darted around in panic, his hand gripping the strap of his tiny backpack. He bit his lip, trying hard not to cry. The world moved past him, not noticing. Aubrey walked over and crouched down to his level. "Hey there, are you all right?" she asked gently, her voice the same tone she used to soothe scared children in class. The boy looked up slowly, eyes shining with unshed tears, and gave the tiniest shake of his head. I lost my dad," he whispered, his little voice shaking with fear. Aubrey's heart pinched at his words. She gave him a comforting smile and rested a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "It's okay. I'll help you find your dad. What's your name?" "Caleb," he murmured, barely above a whisper. "Caleb Blackwood." "Hi, Caleb. I'm Aubrey," she said warmly. "Let's find a safe place, and I'm sure your dad will come soon, all right?" She reached for his hand, wrapping his cold fingers in her own. Caleb nodded, holding on tight, like she was his only anchor. Aubrey led him through the mall toward the information desk, but it was closed. So she changed course and headed to the nearest police station a few streets away. As they walked, she stopped at a cafe and bought him a big chocolate cookie to lift his spirits. "Do you like chocolate?" she asked, offering it with a smile. Caleb took it shyly, nibbling a piece. "Thank you," he said softly, and Aubrey was taken aback by his manners. He's been raised well, she thought. At the police station, a kind officer took notes while Aubrey sat beside Caleb, telling him a story about a lost bunny to calm his nerves. Caleb listened closely, his face lighting up, even giggling when she described the bunny jumping over rocks and streams. "You tell stories like my teacher," he said with a tiny laugh. Aubrey ruffled his hair and chuckled. "That's because I am a teacher." Time passed. Nearly an hour later, she started to worry. Who was this boy's father? Why hadn't he come yet? Caleb, now resting against her shoulder, looked like he was falling asleep. Aubrey gently brushed his hair back, a strange sense of protectiveness washing over her. Then the station door burst open with a gust of cold air, and a tall man in a black suit stepped inside. His sharp eyes scanned the room until they landed on Aubrey, and stopped. Her breath caught in her chest. It was Gavin Blackwood. At 33, he looked just as she remembered, coldly beautiful, painfully familiar. He still had that neatly combed dark hair, piercing gray eyes, and those sculpted features that seemed almost too perfect. His coat hung over his arm, his posture crisp, his presence commanding. But Aubrey couldn't tear her eyes from his expression, shock, confusion, and something else. "Aubrey?" he said, his voice hoarse, as if saying her name took his breath away. "Dad!" Caleb cried, running to him and hugging his leg. Still, Gavin didn't take his eyes off her. Aubrey stood slowly, forcing herself to breathe. It had been 6 years. 6 years since everything broke. She masked her emotions behind a polite smile. "Hello, Mr. Blackwood. Caleb is safe." Gavin knelt, wrapping Caleb in a hug, his voice finally softening. "I'm so sorry, buddy. Are you all right?" Caleb nodded and pointed back at Aubrey. "Miss Aubrey helped me. She's really nice. She told stories." Gavin looked at her again. "Thank you," he said stiffly, but his eyes said more. Pain, sorrow, regret. "I didn't think I'd see you again." Aubrey clenched her fists, grounding herself. "I just did what anyone would do," she replied calmly. "Caleb's a lovely boy. He should be watched more closely." Something in Gavin's eyes shifted like her words hit a sore spot. He opened his mouth, but an officer stepped in. "Mr. Blackwood, We'll need your signature for the report. Your son's safe thanks to this young lady." Gavin nodded, but before walking away, he looked back at Aubrey one last time. "You haven't changed," he whispered. Aubrey said nothing, only nodded with a small, unreadable smile. As Gavin signed the papers, Caleb tugged her sleeve. "Will you visit me?" he asked, hopeful. Aubrey gave a sad smile. "If fate allows it," she said softly. She guided him back to his father without meeting Gavin's eyes. "Thank you, Miss Carter," Gavin said, his voice cold but gaze intense, like it could burn through her if she let it. Aubrey didn't answer. She simply turned and walked out of the station. She didn't look back. If she did, every bit of strength she had left might shatter. Outside, the night had settled in. The streetlights gave off a soft glow. Aubrey pulled her coat tighter. She breathed in the cold air, trying to calm the storm inside her. Old memories came rushing back. Their laughter, their plans, and the day she walked away for good. Why now? Why had fate tangled their paths again? And Caleb? Who was this child to Gavin? Her thoughts drifted back to another autumn, on a campus that looked like a painting, red maples lining the lake. She was 23 then, arms full of books, bright-eyed and quiet. She had always felt like an outsider, a scholarship student among the wealthy. Her white sweater was plain, her brown hair tied loosely, and she often walked with her eyes lowered. But her heart was full of dreams. That day, she entered the library clutching a textbook on children's literature. In a far corner, Gavin Blackwood sat with his economics notes, but his eyes kept straying to her. Back then, he was just Gavin to her. The only son of the Blackwood real estate dynasty, he was intimidating to everyone else. But with her, he was the guy who snuck handwritten notes into her books. "Stop studying. Ice cream?" they'd say, signed with a smiley face. She'd blush every time and pretend to be annoyed, but her eyes always sparkled. Their story began in such soft, sweet ways. One rainy night, she got stranded outside the library, soaked without an umbrella. Just as she shivered under the building's awning, Gavin's old Jeep pulled up. He rolled down the window and called out, "Hop in, bookworm, unless you like swimming." She laughed and ran to the car. Inside the warm, foggy space, they talked about their dreams. She told him how she wanted to open a free children's library. Gavin turned to her and gently said, "You'll light up their world, and I'll build the place where that light shines." Later that night, they pulled off on a quiet street. The rain tapped gently on the roof. Gavin leaned in and kissed her, clumsy but sweet. Aubrey melted into him, her heart hammering in her chest. "I've never felt like this, Aubrey," he whispered. "You're everything." She smiled against his shoulder, believing love would carry them forever. In the months that followed, they were inseparable, studying, laughing, walking by the lake hand in hand. She pressed maple leaves into her books. He left hot coffee on her desk before morning classes. When she struggled with economic terms, he stayed up late explaining, never once mocking her. Aubrey adored how he listened, how he laughed at her stories from her practice teaching. Gavin cherished her sincerity, her spark when talking about children. Once, at a school fair, she stood at a booth, smiling, handing out books, sat in his darkened penthouse, Caleb asleep in the next room. The city buzzed beneath him, yet his world felt frozen in time. He held an old photo in his hand, one of him and Aubrey from their college days. Her laugh, captured mid-moment, felt like a ghost whispering through the silence. He closed his eyes, haunted by her every word, every glance, every echo of the past. "She betrayed me." He said it again, but even his voice lacked conviction now. Something didn't add up. The breakup letter, the photos, her vanishing, all too neat, too orchestrated. And her eyes today, they held sorrow, not guilt. Her kindness to Caleb, her heartbreak hidden beneath politeness. If she truly moved on, why did she look like she was still bleeding? He leaned back, jaw clenched. "I need the truth." Aubrey's days returned to quiet routine, but her nights became restless. Gavin's face, Caleb's laughter, Eleanor's cruel smile, all swirled in her dreams. She clutched the scarf tighter each time she thought of how easily everything was taken from her. "Why now?" she murmured. Why did fate bring him back? She applied for a teaching position at a local school to anchor herself to something new, something real. But fate wasn't finished with her. 2 weeks later, a knock on her classroom door interrupted her lesson. A staff assistant peered in. "Miss Carter, there's someone here to see you. He says it's urgent." Her heart skipped. She stepped into the hallway, expecting a parent or perhaps someone from the administration. Instead, she found herself face to face with Serena Whitmore. Immaculate in a beige coat and red lipstick, Serena looked exactly as the media had always painted her. Refined, poised, untouchable. "I hope I'm not interrupting," she said coolly. Aubrey stiffened. "What do you want?" Serena's smile didn't reach her eyes. "To tell you the truth. This is overwhelming," she said softly. "But I wanted to meet you because I think there are some truths Gavin never told you." Aubrey's brows furrowed, unsure whether to brace for more pain or clarity. "Truths?" Serena nodded. "I was never Gavin's fiancée. Not really. That entire engagement was orchestrated by our families, two influential names trying to merge business interests. I didn't love Gavin. He didn't love me. We ended it quietly. But the media didn't care for quiet endings." Aubrey's breath caught. "But the articles, the photos, all posed. Our parents' pressure. I wanted out, and Gavin." Serena paused, searching Aubrey's eyes. "He didn't fight it, because his heart was never with me. It was always with someone else. You." Aubrey felt her world shift, the years of buried heartbreak swirling back to the surface. "He never told me. He left. I got a letter, then saw him in the papers with you. I thought, I know." Serena's voice softened. "He thought he was protecting you. There were complications. His father disapproved of your relationship, threatened to cut Gavin off from everything, including custody of Caleb's future. So Gavin chose to walk away. For you, for Caleb, but he never stopped caring." Aubrey gripped the railing, her knuckles white. "All these years. I thought he betrayed me." "I think he betrayed himself more," Serena said gently. "You were the only thing that made him feel like more than a Blackwood. You gave him peace." They stood in silence for a moment, the wind brushing their cheeks, the city below oblivious to the quiet healing unfolding above. "I'm with someone else now," Serena added, "and I'm happy, but I couldn't leave the country again without telling you this. He deserves a chance to explain. You both do." Inside the ballroom, Gavin searched the crowd again and finally stepped outside, only to see Serena walking away and Aubrey standing alone, eyes glassy, lost in thought. "Aubrey," he said quietly. She turned, startled. For a moment, neither moved. Then she whispered, voice trembling, "Why didn't you tell me?" Gavin took a slow step forward. "Because I was a coward. I thought losing you would protect you. But I lost everything." Her eyes brimmed with emotion, the memories flooding back. "You could have trusted me." "I know," he said, "and I've regretted every day that I didn't." They stood in the moonlight, years of silence heavy between them. And yet, there was something in their gaze, familiar, fragile, hopeful. Caleb's words echoed faintly in both their minds. "Everyone needs someone to come home to, soft and aching, like a wound reopened. If I meant that much, why didn't you come after me?" Gavin's jaw tightened, his hands clenching at his sides before he slowly stepped forward, his voice breaking in raw honesty. "I did," he said. "I tried. I went to your dorm. I called you every day for weeks. But then, the photos, the letter, I thought you wanted to disappear. I thought I lost you. And every time I tried to forget, every time I tried to convince myself you never loved me, I broke a little more." Aubrey's breath hitched. "And now?" He reached out slowly, hesitantly, as if afraid she would vanish again. His fingers brushed her damp cheek, tender and trembling. "Now I know the truth," he whispered, "and I'd burn down every lie, fight every person who ever stood between us. If there's still a piece of you that wants what we had, tell me, Aubrey, is there still a part of you that loves me?" Aubrey closed her eyes, her heart pounding loud enough to drown out the rain. The years they'd lost, the lies, the heartbreak, It all came rushing back. But so did the warmth of his voice, the feeling of safety in his arms, the way he looked at her like she was his whole world. She opened her eyes slowly, tears still falling, but her voice was clear. I never stopped. And just like that, the years crumbled between them. Gavin pulled her into his arms, soaking wet and shaking with emotion. But neither cared. The past had stolen too much already. And in that midnight storm, they found each other again. Not perfect, not unscarred, but real. The story of Gavin Blackwood and Aubrey Carter is a poignant tale of love, misunderstanding, and eventual reconciliation. Their journey, marked by years of separation due to miscommunication and external manipulations, culminates in a heartfelt reunion and a renewed commitment to each other. After uncovering the truth behind their past misunderstandings, manipulations by those close to them, and misinterpreted intentions, they find their way back to each other. Their reunion is not just a rekindling of old flames, but a testament to enduring love and the power of forgiveness. Their wedding, set against the serene backdrop of a lakeside house filled with cherished memories, symbolizes a fresh start. The ceremony is intimate, reflecting their journey and the deep bond they share. With close friends like Serena Whitmore by their side, and the joyful presence of Caleb, Gavin's adopted nephew, they embark on a new chapter as a family. This narrative resonates with the timeless theme that true love, despite trials and tribulations, finds its way. It's a reminder that understanding, communication, and trust are pillars that uphold relationships, even when tested by time and circumstance. If you're interested in exploring more stories that delve into the complexities of love and relationships, feel free to ask for recommendations or summaries of similar tales. Long ago nearby, Gavin stood by the lake adjusting his black tie, the stoic CEO facade melting into the nervous anticipation of a man about to marry the love of his life. 5-year-old Caleb Blackwood stood beside him, also in a matching black suit, tugging at his tie and whining, "Dad, this is itchy." Gavin knelt, fixing the tie, his voice warm. "You're the best man, so you've got to be a little serious. Today's a big day." Caleb pouted, then grinned. "Dad, today Miss Sunshine becomes my mom, right? I want to call her Mom now." Gavin ruffled his hair, his deep gray eyes shining. "That's right, buddy. From today, we're a family." He hugged Caleb, happiness surging, tinged with a trace of fear. 6 years of pain had passed, but he still worried this was a dream, that Aubrey might vanish again. He took a deep breath, vowing, this time, nothing would tear them apart. The ceremony began as the sunset gilded the lake. About 30 guests, college friends of Aubrey's, Gavin's close colleagues, and Serena with her British fiancé, sat on wooden chairs, smiling in anticipation. A gentle violin melody played as Aubrey emerged, holding a bouquet of wildflowers. Her eyes locked on Gavin. He stood under the floral arch, heart pounding, the world narrowing to just her. Her white dress glowed in the golden light, and her smile made him forget every prepared word. As she approached, Gavin took her hand, whispering, "You're so beautiful, Aubrey. I can't believe I deserve this moment." Aubrey squeezed his hand, eyes sparkling. "We deserve this, Gavin, after everything we've overcome." They stood hand in hand, facing each other. And Caleb, the junior best man, drew laughs when he held up the ring box too soon, shouting, "Miss Sunshine, put on the ring!" The guests roared with laughter. Aubrey bent to kiss Caleb's cheek, making him blush and scamper back to Gavin. Their vows were simple but profound. Gavin looked into Aubrey's eyes, his voice trembling but resolute. "Aubrey, I lost you once because I wasn't strong enough, but now I promise, even if the world turns against us, I'll love, protect, and trust you. You're my light, forever." Tears streaming, Aubrey replied, "Gavin, you're my home, where I'll always return. I promise to stand by you and Caleb through every storm, forever." As they exchanged rings, sunlight glinted off the silver band on Aubrey's finger, its emerald sparkling like a reminder of their enduring love. Caleb clapped, shouting, "Kiss! Kiss!" Gavin laughed, pulling Aubrey into a sweet, deep kiss, as if to etch the moment into eternity. Applause and laughter erupted. Serena wiped tears, whispering to her fiancé. Finally, they found each other. The reception unfolded outdoors. Wooden tables draped in white linen, paper lanterns swaying in the trees, a buffet of simple yet delicious dishes, grilled bread, fruit salads, and the chocolate wedding cake Caleb insisted on. Caleb ran around showing off his grown-up tie, even dragging Serena to dance, making her laugh uncontrollably. Gavin and Aubrey cut the cake, playfully smearing frosting on each other's faces. Caleb giggled and demanded to frost Mom too. As night fell, lanterns and moonlight transformed the lawn into a fairy tale world. Gavin pulled Aubrey to dance. Though she blushed at dancing publicly, he whispered, "Just look at me, my love. It's only us." They twirled, laughing like college students, forgetting the painful years. As the reception wound down, Serena stood, raising a glass of wine. "I'm not good with sappy speeches," she began, sparking laughter, "but I toast Gavin and Aubrey, who overcame darkness to find each other's light." She raised her glass toward Caleb. "And Caleb, the best kid ever. Thank you for being their bridge." Caleb, beside Aubrey, puffed up proudly, making everyone laugh. Gavin held Aubrey's hand under the table, eyes shining with gratitude. Glasses clinked, the sound mingling with the soft lake breeze. Time passed. Gavin and Aubrey's suburban house became a true home. They moved in right after the wedding, filling it with love, art, and laughter. Aubrey began writing children's books, inspired by Caleb and the bedtime stories she told him. She spent mornings in the art room, sunlight pouring in as she wrote about rabbits, bears, and magical adventures. Her first book, The Lost Rabbit, was published 6 months later. Dedicated to Caleb, my little rabbit, and to Gavin, who found my light. The book became a hit. Caleb proudly showed it to friends, declaring, "My mom writes the best books in the world." Gavin still ran Blackwood Enterprises, but now he left the office early to take Caleb to soccer, read bedtime stories, and spend quiet evenings with Aubrey. He even tried painting with them. His distorted shapes sparked laughter. "I'm a CEO, not an artist," he'd grumble, but his eyes lit up, seeing Aubrey and Caleb doubled over. Their home brimmed with memories. Caleb's scribbled drawings, Aubrey's books, the old college scarf, the teal armchair where they often gathered. Aubrey became integral to Caleb's life. She helped with homework, taught him to garden, told bedtime tales. Caleb, now naturally calling her Mom, often hugged her saying, "You're my Miss Sunshine, right?" Aubrey always kissed his forehead. "Forever, little rabbit." Watching Aubrey love Caleb, Gavin's heart overflowed. He'd feared the boy, his adopted nephew, would never have a complete family after losing his birth mother. But Aubrey brought light not just to him, but to Caleb. One night as Caleb dozed in the armchair, Gavin pulled Aubrey close, whispering, "Thank you for giving us a home." She smiled. "Thank you for giving me a family." One autumn evening, red maple leaves blanketing the yard, the three gathered in the living room. Aubrey sat on the armchair, Caleb curled in her lap, eyes heavy with sleep. Gavin sat beside them, his hand entwined with hers, her ring glinting under the lamp. "Mom, tell a fairy tale," Caleb murmured drowsily. Aubrey smiled, stroking his hair. "All right, little rabbit," she began, voice soft as a lullaby. "Once, a little prince was lost in a cold forest, afraid he'd always be alone. But a girl of light appeared, with a smile warm as the sun. She took his hand, leading him to a house by a lake, where a strong man waited. They became a family, living happily ever after, never parting." Caleb smiled, eyes closing. "Like us," he whispered, drifting off. Aubrey kissed his forehead, tears of joy shining. Gavin pulled her close. "You told it right. We found each other, and I won't lose you again." Later, they tucked Caleb into bed and stepped onto the porch. Moonlight shimmered on the lake. Rustling leaves played a peaceful tune. Aubrey leaned against Gavin, their hands entwined, her ring glowing. "Did you ever think we'd have this day?" she asked softly. Gavin kissed her hair. "I always hoped, but didn't dare dream. Now I know one thing. I'll spend my life keeping this light." Suddenly, Caleb ran out, still clutching his teddy bear, eyes bright. "Dad, Mom, we're a team, right?" he shouted, diving into their arms. Gavin and Aubrey laughed, hugging him tightly, the three forming a warm circle under the moonlight. "That's right, little rabbit," Aubrey whispered, kissing his cheek. "We're a team. Forever."